Rock on Rockies fans, welcome into the Locked On Rockies podcast for today, August the 26th, a Thursday here on the beautiful Blue Marble. I'm Paul Holden, your host of the Locked On Rockies podcast, proudly part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And today's episode of Locked On Rockies is also brought to you by Locked On Major League Baseball. Join walking encyclopedia, baseball encyclopedia, that is, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call him Sully every day on Locked On MLB for a unique look at the majors, both present and past, featuring exciting guest interviews and routine check-ins from the Locked On MLB Network's team of local experts. Subscribe to Locked On MLB today on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts. On today's episode of the Locked On Rockies podcast, I am going to rant about the road Rockies a little bit. I am, however, also going to highlight a player that has flown under the radar, not in terms of Rockies fans, but in the bigger scheme of things and in the storyline of this season as a whole. And then we'll wrap up with a little weekend series preview, another off day today. And we're also going to talk about a pitcher that is worrying me a little bit. But let's dive in. First things first. This past series in Chicago, it just simply can't happen. I don't know what else to really say in terms, we can go over the numbers, we can go over the stats. Herman struggled yesterday in one inning. Austin Gomber, he's the pitcher I'm worried about, folks. Austin Gomber has really not been looking all that sharp lately. The past two starts, he really has not done what we need him to do of late. And I'm hoping that the first 2 months of the season aren't a smokescreen. I hope that these aren't something. I hope we're going to get back to the Austin Gomber that we've seen. And Ryan Freemeyer here on Twitter has this stat for us. Austin Gomber's last 8 starts, 6.23 ERA and a .349 xWOBA. Old multiple stats stuff, but that compares to his first 14 starts of a 3.54 ERA and 0.218 xWOBA. So there are bad trends from Austin Gomber right now. There are interesting things that we need to keep our eyes on. I mean, this was something that the Rockies desperately need. The Gomber needs to be the guy, and his expectations of him need to continue to be high. He gets 8 strikeouts yesterday, and that's good and all, but the 3 long balls that he's given up, he just hasn't been able to get himself out of situation. And I just don't know. That's something that worries me. Younger players traded in the trade. They have time to develop. They have all sorts of stuff. But we need Austin Gomber to be Austin Gomber that we've seen in the past. We have to check this out. We have to keep our eyes on this. We have to see what's going on for the future with this trade. I keep getting lost. I feel like every time I talk about the road Rockies and when we go on the podcast, I'm sure, man, I feel like a lot of you might get frustrated that I get on these tangents, I go on these points, I go in these directions, and yet I don't have answers because there's just simply, I don't know. There's just no answer. It's just remains in the realm of the weird at this point. There's just no explanation that you can go up against. Obviously, the Padres are struggling. They're still a great team. They're twice the team the Cubs are at this point in terms of roster and the availability and the damage that can be done. Yet the Rockies are giving up leads late. Daniel Bard simply cannot come into games and blow 3-run leads in the bottom of the 9th. That's just unacceptable. It's just, you just cannot do that. And I'm here, I'm in my little armchair. I haven't played a lick of baseball since high school and all that stuff. Sure, but as fans, as someone as we can watch, when you are turned to every day to be the closer, we've ride the Daniel Bard roller coaster too much. I don't think he's not a good pitcher. I think it would be interesting to try to just have him as a setup man. because clearly with the pressure and with the game on the line, something is up. How are you piping that ball right there? I mean, I know it's a Wrigley Field home run, and that 3-run home run is way too good of a pit, or is it's only going to be hit out at Wrigley Field. There's just way too many opportunities that the bullpen gives hitters late. Start throwing stuff trust your defense. This defense is elite. Trevor Story didn't show it yesterday when the game could have been won there. I know that, but that's another weird thing. This bullpen, however, you just simply cannot have situations where you come in and you knock down the door and then you walk 3 straight batters. Julius Chacin, you just can't do that. You can't be a closer and come into a game with a 3-run lead and blow a 3-run lead in consecutive at-bats. It's not good when when one of the popular sentiments on Rockies Twitter is, I don't feel comfortable unless it's like a 6 to 8 run lead. I mean, these are major league arms, and we should expect them of this. It's this point in the season. We should expect people to come in and close the door on the Cubs, not letting Ortega hit walk-off huge bombs. Like, this just simply cannot happen. Compounded with an offense that flashed, then sputtered out. I mean, there's a whole the mix we know. I mean, the proof is in the pudding. We've been eating the pudding all season long. The Rockies, when they go on the road, just are simply a completely different team somehow. How? Why? I have no idea. I simply couldn't tell you what the Rockies, what it does. And you can tell it's frustrating players. You can tell it's frustrating Blood Black. And we've seen it. And we've heard interviews and we've heard the conversation. I can only imagine the level of frustration on the field. But be frustrated all you want. Where's the adjustment? What adjustment have we seen? Is there a different approach that the Rockies want to take on the road? I mean, Connor Joe's hitting grand slams. Connor, there are moments you held leads multiple times in this series, yet to have it all blown away. That's it. I mean, that's when you're looking for the story of the Rockies. Just look at how many games they lost late. Look at how many games they lost because they couldn't hit. This is the 2021 Rockies. Their road performance is basically a coin, and you're going to flip it, and it's going to be a bullpen blow late in the game, or the offense is just going to get shut out like we've seen. You can't go up 3-0 and lose a game 6-4 with 5 of those runs coming in the 8th and the 9th inning, like we saw on Monday. That's just when good teams don't do that. And when whatever the future of this team, whatever the construction is, that's what you have to address. There are some decent arms in that bullpen, sure, but the Rockies need someone to come in and slam the door. Enough. I am getting to this point. The Rockies desperately need to invest in a lockdown closer for the variables you have at home and for these road games. If, like we were going through the numbers earlier in the show, if the Rockies could sway the fates of just 10 to 11 road games, probably more so at this point. I mean, that podcast stat is a little old at this point. The Rockies would be in a completely different position. And that comes down to games that have been lost in the 8th inning or later. Maybe I'll dive into that at one point here as the season goes on. How many games have the Rockies lost in the 8th inning or later? The Cubs are not good. And while the Rockies aren't that good in a lot of ways, they are good in some ways. The smokescreen, you don't have the home record and you don't have the performance from some of the players that you've been having this year, and you can say yourself that you're quote unquote bad. A completely bad team. There are bad elements. There are a lot more bad elements to the team than good elements right now. But you're not Cubs level. You're not Diamondbacks level. You're not Pirates level. You're a team with a couple of tweaks that actually could have a stone's throw chance to maybe flirting with a postseason chance. Not right now. And that contention window most likely is still a little bit away. I'm just saying, with a little bit of change in fates, even after the big trade that you make, the Rockies could be a different story. But they're not. They rely on the same arms. They continue to rely on these arms, and they didn't make any changes, and we haven't heard of any ideas of what they're going to do. Hopefully all of that changes coming up soon. Hopefully the Rockies actually do go out in free agency and do some things, and maybe we'll see more with more development from these younger arms. But that is a frustrating series. That is a very, very frustrating series if you're the Rockies, I have to say. Okay, I was heated up. I went on my rants, but I think that's an appropriate rant to go on. I think that's wouldn't be that's just a frustration I think that a lot of people have to be having nowadays. Let's shift gears into a more positive note here, but before we get to that, I got to tell you about the best tasting protein bar ever, and that is Built Bar. And they want you to celebrate the freedom of choice because Built Bar has so many delicious flavors. There is something for everyone. They got the coconut, the cherry barcia, the raspberry, the mint brownie, the double chocolate, the salted caramel, the strawberry, orange, cookies and cream, German chocolate, all sorts of delicious flavors. If you can't pick your favorite from those delicious options, well, guess what? You can get the mix box where you'll get 2 of each of the 9 delicious flavors. And not only are Built Bar flavors the best tasting, they're healthy too. 17 to 18 grams of protein, calories ranging from 130 to 180, only 4 to 5 grams of sugar, and only 4 to 5 grams of net carbs. Amazing flavors, all tasty, all healthy. Order today. Get that mix box. Get your favorite. Get that German chocolate. Get that strawberry. Get the double chocolate. Get whatever you like. Go to Built.com and use promo code LOCKED15. That's Built.com and promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off your order. That's promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com. LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com. The best tasting protein bar ever. There's one player we do need to highlight. We need to talk about, and it's Ryan McMahon. Ryan McMahon doesn't go out. He's not doesn't like to put himself in the spotlight a lot. He doesn't like to do, he's not a very flashy player in terms of what you might hear from him. But Ryan McMahon has been incredible this year. Ryan McMahon, while the offense did slump, while we have seen it come alive a little bit more, he has been a great piece for this Rockies lineup day in and day out. And when he struggles on offense, he makes up for it on defense. There's an argument to be made that Ryan McMahon has been the best or one of the best third basemen in baseball this entire season. He makes incredible plays, and it's truly mind-boggling to me that the Rockies' third base situation isn't a mess. Well, it was a mess when we thought Joshua Fuentes was the answer over there at third base. But it's pretty neat that you trade a generational talent in Nolan Arenado away from third base, and you'd think that you would really suffer at that position. However, Ryan McMahon has been incredible. His defense has been great. Now, again, obviously Nolan is Nolan. I would still love to have Nolan on the team. I would still love to keep McMahon involved in the offense or in the defense too with what we got. But we're just worried. The situation the Rockies have found themselves in, Ryan McMahon has really filled the shoes of Nolan Arenado quite well. I mean, he's really, really good. This year, we're on fielding bidable. He's got a fielding percentage of .92. He's number 1 in runs saved. And when you compare that to Nolan's number this year, Nolan is currently 9th in runs saved. His fielding percentage is a little bit higher at at .975. There's so much more to that. I mean, there's so many advanced stats with the fielding stuff, but it's such a treat that we get to watch Ryan McMahon play and succeed at third base. And that is something the Rockies do. One of the pros, one of the good things that I mentioned in the first segment there that the Rockies do, they play good defense, especially in the infield. They have a good infield. I love the infield of McMahon, Story, Rogers, Cron. I think that's a good infield. I don't think it reaches the highs that we've seen of the Rockies infield of the past, but with the addition of Ryan McMahon and CJ Cron on filling in a more permanent level, obviously Ryan McMahon playing a lot of second base last year with Nolan on the lineup. This next generation of infield is pretty exciting, albeit we're going to have to figure out what's up with shortstop here at the end of the season. But those pieces are great. And Ryan McMahon has been very, very good. He has been someone that the Rockies have been able to turn to this year. He's only got, let's see here, 5 errors on the season this year. He's helped out with 14 double plays. He's got a bunch of putouts. He's really been an effective defensive player. And if he gets that offense to be a little bit more consistent and that Ryan McMahon we know, he is going to be the leader of this team. He will be the person that steps up and makes the Rockies his team for his time here, however long that is. He's only 26. He's got plenty of time. He's been with Colorado for a long time. We've seen him. He's so versatile. Ryan McMahon is a great player. And even though, like we said, that offense, he's still batting 263. He's got 19 home runs. He's got his first home run, about 65 RBIs. Didn't quite have that tear that we saw at the beginning of the year, but he still contributes. He still contributes a lot to this club, and he's still someone that can make an impact. And it's someone that I'm really glad that the Rockies have, because to make that transition from Nolan a little bit easier is thanks to him. That it is not easy to do, to be as good as the Rockies have been this year on defense if it wasn't for Ryan McMahon. So anyway, wanted to dive into a article I found here from Patrick Saunders. This was in the Denver Post, and it was from last week. And I want to find up, let's see here. Let's go to this little quote here. Leading the way has been the stellar work of third website. The Rockies' 51 overall defensive runs saved are tied with Houston for most of the majors. Obviously, that number might have changed with a week in the past there. So, but leading the way at the defense has been the stellar work of third baseman Ryan McMahon and Joshua Fuentes, who's now at AAA Albuquerque working on his hitting. According to Sports Info Solutions, the Rockies have not missed the glove work of Nolan Arenado, who was traded to St. Louis in February. Ryan McMahon and Joshua Fuentes have played Nolan Arenado-like defense at third base. Sports Info Solutions' Mark Simon wrote recently, but Arenado hasn't been Arenado-like this season, at least not by our measures. Fuentes and McMahon are ranked second and third in defensive run saves of the position. Arenado is only slightly above average. Simon went on to write, McMahon and Fuentes have combined for 25 good fielding plays at third base this season, aka web jams, and Arenado, who typically leads third baseman in that stat, has 16. That's something there. Again, that came from a source in Patrick Saunders' piece at the Denver Post. Rockies defense without Nolan Arenado with Ryan McMahon has been very good. And that's true. I mean, the Rockies have played great defense at home and on the road, and Ryan McMahon has been at the forefront of that. And he's made some spectacular plays, and I'm glad that he will continue to do so for the club. Those shoes you'll never be able to fill completely, and it's always going to be tough. But for Ryan, good for him, and good for Joshua Fuentes too to playing, because he does play good defense, and he did play some good defense for the club when he was up there. But Ryan McMahon brings you that offense. He brings you more of that consistency. He brings you more of that top level player that you're expected to be, especially when you play third base for the Rockies at this point, and the legacy that's been created there. Okay, Let's wind down the show with just a quick look around baseball and some other fun stuff, as well as a weekend preview for the club. But before we get to that, I got to tell you about more of our wonderful, wonderful sponsors, including the best place to get all your odds, info, and needs for your sports gambling action, and that's Bet Online. And, football season, it's right around the corner, and eyes are turning to the gridiron, and Bet Online's got all sorts of great stuff for you for the upcoming NFL season. It's your number one spot for the pro and college football action. And check out all the updated odds, props, and contests, including online's biggest $500,000 NFL mega contest and the world's $200,000 NFL Survivor contest. Open now at Bet Online. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today to receive your 100% welcome bonus. And be sure to take advantage of their opening day super promo. Make a bet on the Thursday, September 9th season opener between the Super Bowl champion Buccaneers and the Dallas Cowboys. And if you lose, your wager will be refunded up to $25. $25 for new customers when signing up and using promo code NFL100. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. And over there at BetOnline are your online sportsbook experts. Don't forget to use the promo code LOCKEDON for more benefits as well. Also, skip the big box stores. Don't waste any more of your time. Get your car and truck in the right spot with the tools and the pieces that you need from Rock Auto. With the ever-increasing numbers of make and models, it's now impossible for your local chain auto parts store to stock all the parts you need. Why endure often pointless or seemingly intimidating questioning and wait while the person behind the counter just opens up the computer and orders stuff offline anyway? Do it yourself at rockauto.com, where you can save time and money. You can save up to 30%, 50%, even 100% on parts from a chain store or auto dealership. Rock Auto is a family business serving do-it-yourselfers for over 20 years, and they have reliably low prices for every customer. Go to rockauto.com right now. Yes, I said right now, and see all the parts available for your car or truck. Right, Locked On in there. How did you hear about us box? So they know that we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. rockauto.com. One more time. That is rockauto.com to save 30%, 50%, and 100% on the same parts for your car or truck from the chain store or car dealership. rockauto.com. Well, the road trip is not over yet, and there's still opportunities for the Rockies to be successful. It is going to be tough. They're going to a place that they historically struggle. They haven't played well, and a team that's playing very well down the stretch and being who we know that they are, and that is the good old Los Angeles Dodgers. However, they played a marathon game yesterday. Do they play again today? Those two? They do. They have a night game tonight. They could be tired. I don't know, but I don't think that's going to do much. I think the Rockies are going to struggle a little bit this weekend. Hopefully, maybe I can reverse jinx them, because I said they were going to do good in this series, and we saw what happened there. However, though, I think the Rockies might be able to steal one if they can get a good sharp game. It might be nice. But it's the road Rockies. I'm not going to get my hopes up. There is still opportunity for this to be a winning road trip. You have to go into Texas. You have to build some momentum in this LA series to go into Texas and to take care of business against a team that is not as good as you. Just like you were supposed to in Chicago, you have to do that in Texas. And you have to, I guess, start with that by building some momentum and building some energy here on the road against the Dodgers. Holy smokes, was that a game last night? I thought that was the most ridiculous game that was going to be played yesterday. It was the second game of the Rockies doubleheader where both teams just couldn't figure out a way to win late. But boy, oh boy, did the Dodgers and the Padres take the cake on that one. And I think some of our Locked On hosts had a long, long night last night for that. But Rockies off today, so no Rockies baseball until tomorrow. And man, big shout out to Connor Joe to continuing to do what he does, to continue to make an impact on this team, to continue to bring an energy and a presence to this club that I have absolutely loved. There's so much more to come for him, I think, and who knows where the baseball journey goes, but that it's another storyline to add into why this season has been a little bit better than we thought going into it. With how low the emotions were for Rockies fans going into the beginning of the season, he's been a very big bright spot for the club. So I want to keep on giving my props to the man Connor Joe. But folks, that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Thank you all so much for joining me today. Before I go, betting on the Rockies does not need to be a guessing game if you listen to the new Locked On Bets podcast hosted by your boy Q and handicapping expert Lee Sterling. Get daily picks, blowout specials, wrong team favorite picks, and Lee Sterling's lock of the day. Follow the Locked On Bets podcast brought to you by betonline.ag, wherever you get podcasts. Rockies Dodgers tomorrow, off day today, a little double off day action with the delay this week. So enjoy the night away from Rockies baseball, whatever you might be doing tonight or today. Hope it's a good one. We'll be back in action with more Locked On Rockies tomorrow. So I'm Paul Holden saying so long from the Locked On Rockies podcast.